Good morning, fourth graders. How are you doing? Hope that you had enjoyed your Monday review on spelling. Thank you very much for having sent your homework. Those of you who haven't sent it yet, well, you still have the chance for today in the afternoon. Remember to write down the acronym to your name, your list number, and the corresponding homework, all right? Well, today is Tuesday. Remember that every single Tuesday we have our science practice. So you can always double check the contents of this practice on your Shake Up Science student book and workbook as well as on the contract. Okay? So let's get started, guys. We are going to continue talking about something very relevant, which is in lesson number 9, glossary 1 page and 20, forces, gravity, and motion. Remember the contents of the contract. This is the final week of contract 6 where we study things like gravity being a contact force and different statements that we had to recognize as being true or false. Let's read them out loud. We have already checked this content, but we need to have this final review. Alright? So tell whether. Whether means, this is not correctly spelled. Well, somebody must have made a mistake. I don't make the contract, so well. Weather, W-E-T-H-E-R, weather. Weather like that is the climate. Well, tell whether each statement is true or false and explain why. So number 1, Alexa, good morning. Can you please read? Gravity is a contact force. This statement is false. Why is that? Because it acts on the earth without coming in contact with it. Gravity is a non-contact force. Remember when we talk about the categories of forces that we happen to have? We had contact force and non-contact force. For instance, friction is a contact force because depending on the material that is being used, the speed could be reduced or increased. So this statement is false, all right? Number 2, David, how are you? Can you help me do the reading? Your mass and weight are the same on Earth as on the moon. And this statement is false. Why is that? Because your weight depends on the gravity force. You will weigh less on the moon than on the Earth. So, it means the centenarian. If the centenarian would visit outer space in a spacecraft, most probably I would weigh less. Thank you, David. Number 3, John Michael, hello. Can you please read number 3? An object's weight depends on its matter, and this statement is true because an object's weight depends on its mass, the amount of matter, okay, and the strength of the gravitational pull. Remember when we talk about gravitational pull, we talk about this natural fact in which Earth attracts things towards its center. All right, like when an apple falls from a tree when it's ripened. That's gravitational law. Let's continue double checking context. All right, Majo, how are you? Thank you very much for the beautiful TikTok, the duet that you created with me. I sent it to my family in Venezuela and they were really, really happy to see you there. Thank you. Can you please, Majo, read number 1? Give an example of how gravity can be overcome. When you toss a ball in the air, the ball overcomes gravity for a few moments, then it falls back to Earth. Yeah, this is like when John Michael and David are dribbling the ball and you're trying to score in the basketball court that we have in the school. Obviously, you start dribbling and then you throw the ball up in the air before it hits the basket ring. Obviously, it stands up in the air, and this is the action of gravity that pulls that basketball to the ground. All right? Number 3, Eva, good morning. How are you? Can you please read number 2? Number 2. What is the law of gravity? I've just said it, but let's read it again, Eva. The law of gravity states that all objects are pulled toward one another by gravity. Water from a fountain is pulled toward Earth by gravity. Without it, they would float away. Gravity pulls everything on Earth towards Earth's center, right? We had the example of the apple. I think it's pretty clear. Anyways, even if it's something light that contains less mass, therefore less matter, like a sheet of paper, you wrap a sheet of paper and you make it into a ball, and you throw it up in the air, eventually it's going to fall down because of the effect of this law of gravity, right? Thank you, Eva. Number 3, Barbie. Hello. Can you please do the reading? What's the difference between matter and mass? Very simple. Mass is the amount of matter in an object. What is amount? Quantity. Objects with more matter have more mass. Which one has more mass, the poodle or Mishka? Obviously Mishka, it's a German chef, all right? But then if you compare it to the horrible, that is to say, the beautiful poodle, obviously that's a smaller creature. It contains less mass, therefore less matter. Now, what is matter? It's the material that everything in the universe is made of. Everything is matter, because everything occupies a certain given space in the universe or the planet. Okay? So those were the theoretical assumptions that we had in the contract in the last weeks. We also studied important or relevant information in our Shake-Up Science book. Something else we studied? Let's check the books. The first page belongs to student book, Shake-Up Science student book, and the second one belonged to the workbook or activity book. All right? Arlette, I always mention your name. I don't know if you're watching me or not, but I keep up the faith that one day you will do so. If you are there, can you help me do the reading of the first paragraph? Gravity and weight. The pull of gravity on an object gives an object its weight. An object's weight depends on where it is. When the pull of gravity is weaker, the object's weight is less. For example, the moon has less gravity than Earth, so you weigh less on the moon. The pull of gravity is also less the farther you are from Earth's center, so you weigh less on a mountaintop than in a valley. Woo! So maybe the centenarian should go to a mountaintop. Over there it would be slimmer, more beautiful. Thank you. So, who hasn't read? Carla, hello, how are you? I like the profile picture that you took for your TikTok and your Instagram. Most probably that's I guess those are PJs, right? Pajamas in the shape of a dragon or something. Carla, can you read the second paragraph, please? An object's weight also depends on the amount of matter in an object. Objects with more matter have more mass. Remember the example with Mishka and the beautiful poodle, right? So the pull of gravity is greater on an object with more mass. For example, the pull of gravity is greater on an elephant than on an apple. What is the bigger pull of gravity, Mishka or the poodle? Mishka. Even if the pull of gravity changes, the object's mass stays the same. Your mass on Earth and on the moon is the same, but your weight is different. Do not confuse the mass with the weight. Okay? Good. Last paragraph. Barbie, can you read again? Gravity is a force that can be overcome. For example, when you toss a ball in the air, the ball overcomes gravity for a few moments. The example that I gave you on John Michael and David playing basketball in the basketball court that we happen to have in the school. Then it falls back to Earth. If your push is stronger than the pull of gravity, the ball will go up. Gravity pulls the ball back down. It's easier to overcome gravity with a light object than with a heavy object, you see? We had several examples related to that in our class as well, our online sessions, on the contents of the contract and on the Shake-Up Science book as well. Further reference on theoretical framework, remember to check the glossary on page 120, guys. Now, this page in concrete is from the activity book, and I decided to use this one because it's kind of interesting. Which sentence is correct? And you have to select between A or B. From the first one, the correct one was A. Gravity is the force that pulls all objects toward one another. What was the correct one in number 2, Alexa? Yes, gravity is a non-contact force. That is to say, B. Good. Carla, in number 3, A or B? A. Gravity pulls everything on Earth's surface toward the center of Earth. As we have said beforehand, this is merely a review. Eva, in number 4, A or B? B. An object's weight depends on how close it is to Earth's center. Very good. Number 5, Majo. Oh my God, I forgot to circle these. The more matter an object has, the more mass it has too. And mass has nothing to do with matter. The correct option is letter A. Okay? The more matter an object has, the more mass it has too. It's relative, one to the other, right? Number 6, Majo, excuse me, can you read this because the other one had a mistake? I didn't circle, but the right one is A. Majo, is letter B. When weight changes, mass changes too because they are intertwined, they are connected. In the second part of this exercise that I consider to be the right one to be chosen from the activity book, it was questions about gravity. A skier goes down a mountain at a speed of 130, some people say kilometers, some people said kilometers per hour. Which force helps him go fast? Which force helps him slow down? So the force that pulls him down toward Earth is gravity. That is clear. And the force that helps him slow down is the friction. Remember, it's a contact force between his skis on the ground. I remember that we watched a clip together, and there was a guy trying to slide in the living room. He was kind of bored in the house, and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the house, and I'm in the house bored. He was kind of bored. He was trying to slide down. And obviously, when he was sliding only with the socks on, the friction was less. But by the time he tried to parade his knowledge and show off about him being the slider of the universe with this girl, well, with the girl who happened to be his friend, he couldn't do it. And he was wondering why. It's because when he tried to show off, he was wearing his shoes. Obviously, it provoked more friction. Okay? So that's what it happens between his skis and the ground. Now, in number 2, if we take an elephant and a mouse to the moon, will they have the same weight as on Earth? Which of the two animals will be heavier? Okay, pay attention. This is a very valuable conclusion. They will weigh less than on Earth because the moon has less mass than Earth, so the pull of gravity is weaker. However, is a connector of contrast. It would be like but. But the elephant will still weigh more than the mouse. You see? Because we should not confuse mass with matter and weight. It was crystal clear in the previous explanations that we watched here. That being studied, let's check final concepts. Guys, it is very important to remember the theoretical framework because this is going to allow you get a better global understanding of this lesson. This was lesson 9, just the final lesson of our Shake Up Science book. Never would I have ever imagined that we were going to conclude this school year being that far away from one another, but such is life, and we have to face reality. Remember that weight is the force of gravity on an object that is measured on a scale, as you can tell. The units for weight are newtons or pounds, kilograms as well. Weight changes based on the location of each location because they have different amounts of gravity. We saw the examples of the weight in the moon and the weight on Earth. When we come back, you have to stay tuned for the second part of this video, and we will see this theoretical framework, we will study CLIP, and you will see the homework or assignment. Miss you. Stay tuned.